It's
Hey,
it's Saturday night.
Hey,
Saturday night. It's Saturday.
Saturday
Saturday
night.
night.
Hey everybody. Anybody that joins us. Okay,
Hey.
so we're gonna be a little impromptu this
Yeah.
evening, and we want to have what's called couch conversations. We took a little break for March. All of us have a lot going on, and we just want to catch up. So,
And we
how
missed my
about
whole birthday. How
we
about
missed
that?
her whole birthday? I
My
know.
whole
Yeah, I'm
birthday.
sorry.
I
That sucks,
We
y'all.
did an online celebration. I try to blow you up. The year is not over, but could y'all share? Like invite other people. We all
Yes.
rained out. Those who are in Raleigh, North Carolina, you got a little bit of rain. You might be home with some popcorn, whatever. Go ahead and share. Grab your favorite drink. I got me some chai tea. I made myself a chai tea latte. So grab it. It's making me so happy. So grab your favorite drink and join us for this couch conversation.
Yeah.
Ladies, anything you want to share before we get started or as we get started?
I don't know what I want to share. I
Good
do want to share
evening.
to make sure that we approve. Like, what do they have to go to approve comments or
Yeah,
to get
go
their name
to
to be shown?
StreamYard, go to StreamYard and approve so we can see who you are. And if not, then you can put like your name beside it because otherwise we won't know who you are.
We won't know, but
So
good evening.
good evening. Yeah, so our theme for the year is thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when it comes to thriving, you
Mm-hmm.
do have to sort of reset, take a step back, and then move forward. So that's one of the things that we're doing right now. We're taking a step back as a team, as a group, and
Mm-hmm.
figuring out, how we're going to thrive together and how we're going to move forward. There's so much going on in this world. Oh my
A
gosh.
lot.
There's so much
Yeah.
going on in the world, and we have to. I think our first show was about grace, right? Celebrating
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
grace. And so we don't want to just say it. We want to
Yeah.
actually live it so that we can be fruitful in our lives. I don't know. What do you guys
Mm-hmm.
think about that? Anybody that's joined us, you can shout out where you're from and share like what is it that that you need to thrive. Where are you right now in your life, and are you finding that you need to take a step back in order to move forward? Kimberly, that makes me
Mhm.
think about you and dancing.
Yes, I think what a great segue. So um I haven't had a chance to share this because I've got a lot of balls in there because I am trying to rebalance. And one of the things I had launched and continues to launch is a new series that I'm going to be doing individually
Mhm.
about balancing and taking people on my journey and just really exposing myself to my struggles because
Mhm.
as I'm getting older, I have grandchildren now, which has delightfully turned my world upside down. And then I've got my parents are getting older, so my stepmom's been, excuse me, sick. So I've been trying to thrive in the
Yeah.
midst of chaotic moments. And
Yeah.
but I have found some moments where I am thriving. I am pushing forward even in the midst of the storm. I have been
Mm.
able to do that. And so one of the things that my dance company, for those who don't know, being part of a co-host here, I also own Dance Fusion Groove, and so we've been selected as the by the ACE Awards to be the best dance company of the year. So
Woo!
yeah, so we've been nominated.
Congratulations.
Yeah, the
That's
gala
so
or whatever is
awesome.
going to be on Juneteenth in
Okay.
Greensboro. And so I will definitely share that information out on my social media. I haven't done it yet, but yeah, I would love for people to vote, but I also want to encourage people because when I went onto the website to the ACE Awards, just to see the amount of choreographers, and it's these people are not just in North Carolina; these people are all over. So
Yeah.
just to see the comedians, up and coming comedians, and dance companies, choreographers, dance teams, it's just amazing to see all the different companies and groups that are out there in the arts. And so, yeah, so we've been nominated as Best Dance Company of the Year, and I'm
That's
excited
awesome.
about it. Yeah, and that's my thriving moment. So this is what I've learned, guys, in this situation where there's where there's definitely havoc in some areas in my life. There are these pockets where I am thriving. So I'm really focusing on those positive moments, those energies, so that I can, as I'm navigating through the things where I'm having to overcome, that doesn't mean necessarily that I'm not winning, right?
Yeah.
I am winning. I may be winning in certain pockets of my life, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
some areas where I'm having to readjust and
Yeah.
rebalance myself.
Well, and I
Hmm.
think that means sometimes we have to redefining what winning means, right?
Mm,
I think if
yes.
we get up every day, we're pushing through and we're living life, I find that as winning. We're not, I don't think we're put on this earth not to face obstacles. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's part of life, it's part of our journey. And redefining, I think society has defined what winning looks like, and that's going to be unique to every individual person.
Yeah.
So I think you're winning despite the obstacles. They're just
Mm-hmm. That's
part
so
of
Yeah.
true.
your journey.
Yeah.
Shout out
Yeah.
to New Bern, North Carolina. Hey
Yes.
Dion, we gotta say hey to Dion.
Hi,
Hey,
Dion.
Hey,
Dion.
y'all. Oh my gosh. Y'all let me know if this is real bad and just take me off if I'm not it sounded right.
No, you look and sound
Yeah.
you look and
Yeah.
sound great. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're so glad to
Yeah.
have you. So you
Okay,
guys know
good. Okay. So
the there
what
might
I
be a
missed,
slight
what I missed.
I think there's a slight delay,
Yeah.
but you haven't missed anything. We just
Okay.
started. But one of the things that happened January, I believe, or February, we weren't able to have Dion. So it's kind of cool to have her back. I hope that we don't have too many technical difficulties. But if there is a slight delay, y'all give us grace. Okay. That's
Right.
give us some grace. But there's a lot going on in the world. That's what we were talking about, really. And what does it take to thrive? And, so one of the hot topics, and this is where I want to see where y'all stand,
Mhm.
because people just trying to make it every day, right? And these kids
Hmm.
are getting out of anyway. So the substitute teacher and the
Oh God.
video that's going around, um I was talking to a lot of educators about this. Like, what are their thoughts who are also parents?
Hmm.
What are their thoughts on these kids,
Mm-hmm.
these phones, and how the substitute teacher responded? Guys, you guys want to weigh in on that situation?
Hmm.
All of it, the kids, where they are with these phones, and even in the world, and that situation with that sub.
Well, I'll can I talk from an educator's
Yeah, yeah, this
perspective?
Yeah.
was a big
Please.
deal.
Yeah.
Um, I feel the first day you step into a class, whether you are a sub or a regular teacher, you set the tone for that classroom, right? You're going to encounter children who are going to try to buck the system, who are going to push back. But, I think there's a stereotype that goes with, I don't know about y'all, but when we had substitutes, it was like, oh, we can cut up. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
teacher's not there, so all anything goes with the substitute. And I think that there probably is just a lack of respect for substitutes as a whole, and I think
Yeah.
that's generation after generation. But I also
Mm-hmm.
do think that a lot of teachers are trying
Mm-hmm.
to be friends with these students.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
don't know how she approached her class that day, not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of tolerance in the classroom, which is why I've always said I could never teach K through 12, because it doesn't matter what you do, you're always
Mhm.
wrong and the student's always right, it feels like.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, when I step into my classroom from the
Yeah.
very first moment, whether I look like I'm one of them or not, like, I am the authority, I am the ruler of this class. We still can have discussions and conversations, but there's no room for disrespect. And so I don't know, if that was the only day she was a sub, if she had been a
Mm-hmm.
sub for subsequent classes,
She been a sub
or
for a year
for a year in that
Yeah.
same class.
Yeah.
in the same school.
In the same school.
So
Hmm.
then so I feel like there really
Oh
shouldn't have
wow.
And
been.
she was young too, right? Was
Yeah.
she? Yeah. I really wonder if age had played a role in how she perceived what was allowed and what isn't allowed in terms of culture
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or age dynamics, because coming from my time frame, that would have never happened. Like, that's just, mm-mm.
No.
I could
Well,
not
not
see that
even how
happening.
she
Yeah.
perceived, but how they
Yeah.
perceived
I
her.
think
If
for
she
me, and now
was
y'all let me
young.
know if yeah, let me know the y'all. I feel first of all, I realize why here because it's raining. I just had a
Mhm.
storm here, and I think it's affecting. But From a parent standpoint, I think that talked about the respect level. It's the respect issue was the main thing. I think the first child having an issue with her phone, should have never been the issue to begin with. I think it's really from a parenting standpoint because how I mean we would have never thought about either and get away
Dion,
or not
Dion's
should have
really,
never not done that. So
yeah.
I think
Dion, you're really cutting up. I don't know if you can hear us.
okay.
Yeah.
I think
But
it's I think it's the rain. So I'll go out.
yeah, it probably is. But just to sum up what I think Dion was saying is the respect level of the kids, and like her generation would have never said that, and so I agree. It's a matter of how are these kids raised in their home to think that this was something that they could do in the classroom. But I also think it goes two ways. It goes both ways. The instructor needs to set that level of expectation when it comes to
Yeah.
respect, and then obviously there's a responsibility on the children, on the students, to uphold that. Now, how at what point though could it have been stopped? Meaning, I need you to go to the principal's office, or let's call the principal down here instead of trying to manage this on our own. I understand what it's like walking in looking like a student, because
Yeah.
every time I step into a college classroom, they think I'm a
Mhm.
student as well.
Right. Yeah.
But they know once I open my mouth that I'm not a student,
Yeah.
right?
Well, Kimberly says children have no respect at all. Y'all agree with that? That children don't have any respect? She
I'm not gonna
said,
say my kids have plenty of respect, and they know not to do
yeah.
that.
So my daughter
She,
knows.
I love what
She
Kimberly said.
knows better.
We need
We
big
need big
mamas.
mama and
Yes,
children
we need
raised
big
by the
mamas.
village like
Yeah.
she
Yes.
was. Yeah. And she
Yes.
said as well, it starts at home. If they treat a teacher that way, they can expect they do the same at home with their parents. And you
Right.
guys, did you guys see the response of the mother?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the mother, she said she went up to the school because she wanted to reprimand her daughter because she
Mm,
was very shocked that she acted like that at school over that phone. So
yeah.
she said that she did not agree with her daughter's disrespectful behavior.
Well, good. Well,
Well,
then that
mhm.
means she was raised somewhat right.
Well,
Mhm.
Kenya made a really good point, and as a former educator, but I taught elementary in my first life, not the life I live now, before I had children.
Mhm.
But I will say one of the things, and I taught a behavior modification class. So my
Mm,
kids they were children of trauma, even at a young age. So there was a sense of urgency in terms of dealing with their emotional state.
Mhm.
And when you dealing with a child, there's power in numbers.
yeah.
So Kenya made a really great point is if your class is getting out of hand, I don't see the practice. And again, I'm not in the school system, but I have a lot of friends that are teachers and principals, is
Mhm.
that there's not that practice anymore where you need to call help. Like you control the classroom, but there needs to be, because there is power in numbers. Let me tell you something.
Hmm.
There is
It looked like she
nothing.
was trying to call and that's when the little girl came over there.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that there needs to be uh, my thing is federally there needs to be a overview of how students are handled today in time.
Mhm.
They seem more violent to me than times prior,
Yes.
Hmm.
particularly in coming through my generation. We had moments, but they were like very, very few. But to
Dion
see it
said
now is horrible.
she said
But
she think that the teacher was also just trying to defend herself, and with all going on, you just don't know what these kids will do.
I
To
mean,
your point,
okay,
Kimberly.
but the teacher, she went ham on that little girl though. Like she didn't have
She
to go
grabbed her
that far.
braids. Just imagine
Yeah,
somebody grab your hair
I mean,
and swing you.
but I wanted to make a comment to McGee's point about these kids being violent. We did a
Mhm.
show about this on Black Issues Forum about youth trauma. And when
Yeah.
you look at what these kids have endured trauma wise for the past
Mm-hmm.
2 decades, so we're talking
Yeah.
about anyone that's 20 and younger, they have been fed nothing but trauma and violence.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about this conditioning and this upbringing, especially when we talk about guns and violence, Kimberly mentioned the young boy who took the 6-year-old who brought his
Mm-hmm.
parents' gun to school. I don't think he did
Yeah.
that maliciously, but we
Mhm.
also are surrounded by gun conversations consistently.
Mhm.
And that was an unfortunate situation that happened. But what else
Mm-hmm.
do we expect our kids to really act out if life is a portrayal of what we do?
So
So
you think that we're teaching our kids, well, I'm
Mhm.
just going to say we 'cause as a
mhm.
collective.
To the
So do you
society,
think we're
yeah.
teaching our kids to react as a result of trauma response as
Well, I think
Yeah.
opposed to
video
and
games. I
we
think I think
mhm
video games and culture, what they see online. Even I just saw something where people were posting these girls in these fight clubs,
mhm
like
Mhm.
going to each other's neighborhoods,
It's a cool
and
thing now.
it's a cool thing now to like, and they just come for the fight
Yep.
for whatever has triggered it, and then they pull each other off, and then they walk away before the police come. So I think we're celebrating this type of behavior, Kimberly.
Yeah.
yeah
Social media too, So
Yeah,
someone was filming that, right? So it's like, well,
right.
how many likes can we get? How many views can we get? Can we go viral? It's all about this competition of being in the news. And they don't care how they get there. They
Mhm.
just want to get there.
Right.
yeah
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah and
absolutely.
speaking of the news, like, oh my gosh, there is so much going on for real. And I
So,
know one of the reasons we want to talk about the news is because of the fact that so much is going on that is of concern, especially around violence, with the
mhm.
young man who got shot just going to
Mhm.
try to pick up his
Ralph.
siblings, just 16
Ralph.
years old.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh. Just got
It's a
shot,
shame
just trying
he
to go
didn't
and pick up his
die.
siblings. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that was
But then
amazing that he
there was
got
a
up.
right.
Yeah.
But then there was a
Yeah.
20-year-old young lady who did pass
Yeah.
away. Same
Yeah.
thing. She went to the wrong house,
Yeah.
was backing up and was
Yeah.
shot. Like,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
that
and
was
the
Shelby.
guy was
Shelby was killed,
Yeah.
and
I just
mhm.
wanted
and
to. I
yeah.
wanted to add something to that
yeah.
too. I'll,
Go ahead.
I wanted to add something to that too. Am I still choppy?
You're good right now.
Okay. Oh,
Your face.
yeah, just even with the situation y'all were talking about. I know, because I'm just like, I'm struggling. Should I put it in the chat?
Just keep going. You're good right
um,
now. Just keep
yeah,
going.
the other part with that, okay, the other part with young man that was shot is that I wanted to point out is that he tried to also go down to 3 doors of the neighbors to get help and no one helped
Mhm.
him. That's another really big problem with that whole situation. That in
Yeah.
today's society, and in this type of neighborhood, this type of environment, he couldn't even get help, and he had been shot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the thing that really disturbs me about the two incidents, both are tragic. Both are
Yeah.
tragic. But what really bothered me is how, in Kaylin's situation, her perpetrator was apprehended very quickly and charged
Mhm.
with her death.
Yeah.
Okay. We know that Ralph Yates hit, I think it's Yale. Yeah, Ralph Yales.
Jarl.
He,
Mhm.
y'all, Ralph
Mhm.
Y'all, he did not die, but that the fact that they have released this 65-year-old man into custody, into his own cognitives.
I thought he
And
was 80.
Yeah,
oh,
he
I'm
was
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah,
84.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
80. Yeah, Kaylin's shooter was 65 years old.
Right.
So here's this man. He gets out based on his age. He shot first without asking a
Mhm.
question. And there's a broader picture here, because what if this kid was just delivering pizza, or they were Grubhub?
Mhm.
There's a bigger picture here where he said he just saw this black person at his door, and there's no, he didn't call the police. He didn't make he didn't call 911 to say I felt threatened, somebody's at my door, I don't feel safe. He
Right.
never did those things to to validate even that. To me, that's still not a validation, but you know what I'm saying? If you're making an accusation that you felt
Right.
threatened, you never called 911. There's not a recording of that at all.
Well, and here's the thing. So let's just say he did feel threatened. He shot one shot, but he deliberately shot the second shot after.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
So
he was
to me,
down.
that's premeditation for that
Yeah.
second
Mhm.
shot, right?
Mhm.
And there actually was a
In
third
the back.
similar
In the
incident
back.
in the back.
Mhm.
There was a third similar incident of a Texas cheerleader. Did you hear about that? So she had opened the door to a car that looked just like hers or her friend's, was not
Mhm.
the right car. Immediately got out and shut the door and got into the right car. The person followed and then shot and killed her.
Mm,
Mhm.
What is going on?
yeah.
So do y'all think that about when it comes to the conversation of guns and laws, what is your view on that? When it comes to all of these shootings we're talking about, you think about the school shooting where the young lady went to that Christian school and shot up 3 adults, 3 kids, was at Tennessee, right? And then we got Kentucky and just all of these, even locally, there have been more code reds and all of that in school. So what are your thoughts, especially on North Carolina's gun laws? Like what are you guys' thoughts on those?
Yeah.
Mm.
I would really like to chime in on this, but I don't know how I sound as far as the response.
You're good right now.
But okay, especially for North Carolina, being as though they have decreased the restrictions of being able to purchase guns right now. I think you don't have to have a background check and also not a permit, right?
Mhm.
Not as right now. Nope.
Yeah, so that to me is like extremely disturbing. Also, what I think are some solutions for gun laws, which I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand why. As far as like the gun crazed, way that we have in this country of people, just being crazy about their guns.
Mhm.
Um, but as far as laws, why wouldn't we want to at least make some changes with the age restrictions? I think what's key and mostly all of these mass shooting situations are that we have young people with guns that clearly do not know what they should do with guns and using them in the right way of protection are not, mentally stable and in control of their emotions. So those are some of the issues that really, that basically support at least increasing the age restrictions on guns. Like at least do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it all boils down to money, right? The NRA lines many pockets, and to put restrictions on gun purchases and age restrictions and mental status restrictions means less and less money. And who has a cat? I did not
That's
know
what
anybody
I'm
had a
right.
cat.
I keep hearing meow, meow.
That's my
Right.
cat. I'm
I didn't
so
know we.
sorry.
No,
I
no.
totally
I didn't know
forgot
you had a
that
cat.
Lily was out.
I'm sorry but I wasn't
I
laughing
totally
about the gun
forgot that
laws
Lily was
comment.
out.
I
We
just
didn't know
kept
you had
hearing
a
like
cat.
meow,
I
meow.
was so caught up in the tech stuff and trying to get this connection that I
No.
forgot that Lily was out. Do y'all want me to put her up?
No,
No, no.
I didn't know you had a cat. That was the problem.
Kimberly, I think you're
Okay,
Nikki,
Lily.
you're
muted.
muted.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, that
you
was
guys want
funny.
to say
Like
hi to Lily?
I just want to say I wasn't laughing about the
Oh,
gun
hi
laws, you all.
Lily.
Oh,
She's so cute.
I kept hearing that, and I thought, sure, because my grandson is here, and I thought, surely you can't hear Cam crying.
Oh
Is
my
he? I'm like,
gosh.
is people picking that up that he's crying back there?
No, that
No,
was
we
her
Yeah.
couldn't hear
cat.
that.
Hey
Well, you know,
Lily.
hey Lily.
Okay, so we
So,
got that
but
cleared up. Okay,
I
back
am
to
a
what you were saying.
I am a member of the NRA,
Mhm.
and I became a member of the NRA years ago for
Mhm.
various reasons. One, because I do believe in the right to bear arms.
Mhm.
Secondly, I wanted to bring a voice to the NRA that typically is not there in terms of, particularly for women.
Yeah.
But we know that most men own per capita own more guns than women do. That is changing though. That is a shift. But we have had over 166 mass shootings since January in the United States alone. The
And we've
largest
had less days.
less days. And the largest shooting we had was in 2019 in Vegas. Remember the concert where the sniper was shooting and had killed a lot of people? So if you take from night, let's just go from 2019 and you look at the gun laws that have changed per state, it has gotten worse in terms of the age dropping. Some in some states went from 21 to 18.
Mhm.
Now we know this statistically
Mhm.
that the mind doesn't even mature until 25,
If we lucky.
if you're lucky. So it doesn't. The maturity of a
That
human mind
Fully
does not
developed,
18
yeah.
fully
Yeah.
develop
year olds
until
with
the age of 25. So to me, but here's the argument that we have people, young people who join the military at 18 who have the right to bear arms on behalf of the country that they're serving. So I understand why the gun law is 18 for the very reason because you can join the military at 18 and you're bearing arms on behalf of your country.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
being said, I think there has to be a
military
universal.
standpoint. Yeah, that makes perspective. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's why the gun laws stick to 18 for that very
That makes
reason.
sense
Because
from a military perspective. Yeah.
right, because if you change the gun laws to 21, if you change the gun laws to an older status, then in terms of the military you will have to
But
by
that's
law change that.
no, but that's fine. Like if
Hmm.
you're eligible to go fight for this country at 18, then you got to show your military card to get a gun to get a gun.
Yeah,
That's
but
fine.
Kendra, if they even have a
Okay.
gun, the military is still not going to control what that person does if they're on
Indeed.
base.
Yeah.
Totally understand that. But when you leave that open, that means any 18-year-old without military or army affiliation can go get a gun. Like
Hmm.
there has to be a stop to it. And all these little loopholes are the reasons why people keep saying, but we need
Hmm.
this, but we need
Hmm.
that. But guess
Hmm.
what? We still gonna be losing young innocent children in
Yeah,
schools year
I
after
think I
year because we
agree.
got these dumb loopholes. That just doesn't
Hmm.
make
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because
I
if a
Yeah,
truck
I
driver has
completely
to have a
agree. It's like
CDL, right,
enough is
to
enough.
drive a
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, has to have a CDL to drive an 18 wheeler and meet qualifications. I don't believe. I mean, and an 18-year-old could be a truck driver, but they do have to
Right.
go through certain qualifications in order to get that CDL. People
Yeah.
have to go through certain qualifications to get a degree, right? It should
Yep.
be the same way. It should not be based on
Mhm.
just age, and we're
Right.
seeing the fruits of the why. But we just gave an example too, though, of two people who are 65 and 84 who were happy trigger as well. So
Right. So when you're trigger happy like that, again, it goes to the mental state of someone. And I
absolutely.
think that here's the thing about bearing arms. Rifles, you don't need a permit to get a rifle in North Carolina. So my thing is that
Right, Kimberly.
if people can use any method if their hearts are not right and they want to
Right.
bring on destruction, they can use bombs, they can use set a fire,
Absolutely.
they can use anything. But I think that guns are easy access, too easy to be, and I think we need a national registry in terms of people. I think the rules need to be cohesive. I think
Mm-hmm.
per state there needs to be a national database to
Yeah.
deal with your registration of your guns. It will never change people buying guns illegally, which that's
Of
will
course.
never
Yeah,
be able to control that. However,
absolutely.
that being said, I think that we can set some parameters for
Mm-hmm.
people who are um dealing with mental issues. Now, like you said, we've got older men of a
Mm-hmm.
certain color who are maybe feel entitled, who are trigger happy, and they've made a decision on their own based on
Yeah.
someone's skin color. But then
Mhm.
we had the 65-year-old. She was a white female with another
Yeah.
white female that
Yeah.
entered into his property.
But he didn't know what she looked like because he shot from
Yeah, but let
far,
me just
like far
add
away.
the
His
lady.
land was like an eighth a mile from
Right.
and he just was no his property said no
Well, that's what I'm saying.
trespassing,
No
private
trespassing.
property.
Right.
So
So
yeah,
I
so
think
that
it does it. These people have a
it's
mindset.
mental,
You
yeah.
will never be able
Well,
to
that's why
control.
he's locked up.
But so
Lock.
here's the problem. That mindset isn't necessarily a mental condition that will be diagnosed. So,
Mhm.
how do you protect yourself from someone like that? You
Yeah.
can't check a box on your gun registration and say, "Yeah, I'm racist."
Mhm.
Or yeah, I will
Right.
shoot anyone who comes on my property. Like I don't know how to solve that problem.
Oh,
Right.
I wanna.
Yeah,
I
I
know
think I think
Dion wanted to say
for the
something.
most part, thank you. I know for the most part, that isn't something that you're going to be able to fix. As far as it's just the same concept of just trying to fix racist people. You're just going to be racist. Like that's not something that we can fix. But the situation where the lady went and purchased 7 guns and she was under doctor's care, that's
Mhm.
that's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
That's the
I
problem.
mean, there's no
Yeah.
reason why that lady should have been able to 7 guns and
Right.
she's under care for a mental illness.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
Kimberly
And
is saying,
go ahead.
well, she was just saying in Guilford County there is a mental health history check in for a concealed permit. But when you do take your conceal and carry class, they tell you that as a gun owner. I mean, they don't say this verbatim, but pretty
Mhm.
much if someone trespasses on your property and you do defend yourself to shoot, you should not you should shoot to kill, because what you don't want to happen is for that person to it's your word against theirs. So
Hmm.
essentially, if you eliminate the problem, it's just your words, and they don't
Mhm.
say that verbatim, but that's
Mhm.
essentially what they're telling you when you go to this training.
Defend.
Mhm,
Like I
Defend.
hate to these days.
mhm,
I'm
mm.
going to sue GPS, Google, whoever I'm using that day if they send me to the wrong house and somebody starts shooting at
Ooh,
me
that might
because
be another lawsuit. Yeah.
like you sometimes it will send you to the wrong place these are people that just accidentally
Mhm,
went to the
for real.
wrong house
Yeah.
and got shot and
Like how many
killed,
times we
one
done that?
shot,
Yeah.
one killed, like
Well,
oh my gosh.
the other day, Ellie left her lunchbox at home, and I said, "Okay, I'll turn around." I find myself turning around in a driveway, and then it dawned on me because I saw their private property sign on a tree, and I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh crap!" And
I
I'm
know.
hurrying up, trying to back out, and because you just like now you're just scared of everything. So let's go back to
Everything.
that trauma. Right, that
Yeah.
our kids are experiencing. My kids are in
Mm-hmm.
the back seat. They've heard
Yeah.
these stories. Like this trauma is now being embedded in their DNA,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so when you talk about generational curses and
Mhm,
we're creating new generational trauma now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good.
Mm,
And
that's
that's something that we have to
yeah.
be aware of as parents in our responses to our children. Like
yeah.
we have to be, and I think all parents know this, but especially with that sort of added addition to the conversation, Kenya, like, how are we responding? How
Yeah.
are we reacting in certain situations that are adding to it? I'm not saying be soft or anything, but
Right.
it's necessary to understand. Like I remember, like I was talking about the code reds at the school, I remember seeing those kids running out of that school and the parents running to their children when there was that code red at my daughter's school. They were locked
Hmm.
down for like 4 hours, and
Mm,
just all of those children, all of those parents just wanting to reach one another, all of the toughness was gone
Mm,
in that moment. It was, I want my mom, I want my dad. And
yeah.
so, but you saw the pain in their eyes, and that's rough. That's rough. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, we do have to be, I know that's a sidebar, but
yeah.
when we have to be aware of how we're responding to these young people in certain situations, because they are experiencing way more at
Yeah.
school and stuff like that than we had to. It's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. I'm not
Well.
Mhm,
I know that one of the things we've been talking about is like mental health, and next month is mental health awareness month. And I know a lot more, we've been talking about this for a few years now, a lot more men are actually being more transparent and open about that. And
Yeah.
I know one of the things that we were talking about is that in relation to relationships and
Hmm.
dating and being transparent about some of the things that they've experienced
mhm.
in their childhood, their traumas, and so forth and so on, that are contributing to how they show up in relationships. What do y'all think about all of that? TikTok, TikTok,
I'm on a dating
TikTok,
hiatus, so I
TikTok. So you don't have any opinions, Kimberly? No, she, well,
I'm
I
on a
think
dating hiatus, so
why
I think
I can
that
share.
I really think that men really do need to go into therapy. I just because I see it on social media, I don't think the majority of men do it.
mhm. Well, what you had shared something about what was it that you wanted to talk about somebody's post on misogyny or something?
Yeah, so yeah. Y'all go ahead and talk about dating. I'll talk about massages because I think
Is it kind of
there's
goes together
there's a
somewhat?
Andrew
culture.
Tate.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
Andrew Tate. There's a culture that is brewing. There's a culture that is brewing, and I think that men like Andrew Tate, if you see him on
Hmm.
TikTok, he is horrible. He is horrible. His and the thing about Andrew Tate is that he doesn't go after young adults. He doesn't even go after teenage boys. Andrew Tate targets middle school young men. He gets them at a very critical age, and he
Wait, can
talks
we
to them.
pause? I'm sorry. I know y'all posted in the chat about it, but I don't know who Andrew Tate is. And so for those that don't know, what is the whole story?
So
Yeah, let's
Andrew,
be yeah, let's I
so
was I
Andrew,
was saying that thinking that
yeah,
too. Thanks, Kenya.
Andrew Tate is
You muted yourself.
You're muted,
Uh-oh. I
McGee.
don't know why that keeps happening.
I don't know.
You keep muting.
And we can't unmute her.
Uh-uh. So while she's getting clear over there, one of the things that we were talking about too around dating is having standards and dating, women and dating, and then men seemingly wanting to be chased but wanting a woman to be submissive. So just the whole ebbs and flow of dating and how it seems like, and this is something my uncle said recently. He was like, I don't understand how y'all are doing dating these days. Like he doesn't date. But anyway, he was like, I don't understand how y'all are doing dating these days. It
Yeah,
doesn't seem to be so clear. Like back in the
this
day,
is
it was
probably.
just like, okay, we're together. Now it seems
Right.
like, oh, what are you all doing? And y'all are like, well, we're friends, or we're figuring it out, or I'll tell you in a few months, or he's like it's not so cut and dry anymore. He was like, what's up with
Right.
that? And so yeah, so those are a few other things that we were
Yeah.
gonna cover.
Well,
Kimberly, are you
I
are you
looked
good?
I looked up Andrew Tate, and so I can read what I found.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so he is the self-styled king of toxic masculinity, and he's under
Oh.
house arrest in Romania. So Andrew Tate is being held in Romania on suspicion of rape and human trafficking. He's also known for getting into a Twitter spat with Greta Thunberg, his kickboxing career, and misogynistic videos. Here's everything you need to know about him. Um, his rise of notoriety started when he was removed from Big Brother in 2016 over a video that appeared to show him attacking a woman with a belt. He claimed that clip was edited. On December 29th of 2022, he was arrested in Romania along with brother Tristan on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group. So I don't see anything about the young boys, but Kimberly was mentioning that he targets middle school kids or boys. I don't see anything about that here, but so you are we saying that his content was going viral on social media, Kimberly? Okay. And so I guess just setting this precedence that the content was okay,
So
that his
maybe, all right,
behavior was
maybe if she's
okay.
saying like he's targeting young boys to try to influence them towards this sort of toxic thinking.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. Yeah, yeah. So he's
Okay.
trying to get them
Okay. Can
early.
y'all
He's
hear
trying to get
me,
them early.
or am I still
Mm-hmm.
delayed?
You can hear
You're
you.
yeah.
Okay.
We can hear
Yeah.
you.
So okay, cool. Yeah, I know a little bit. I haven't really followed much of Andrew Tate, but I did watch a few of the videos and a few comments that he made. There was a interview that he did with Piers Morgan, and was talking about how women are property of men. Men have women as their property. And so I've seen just some of his content, and the backlash is, the comments that he makes are very, women bashing. And that actual particular interview was about, what y'all are saying, as far as like how is it that what is he teaching young men and boys as far as being able to listen to his content on social media? Because once you start becoming a follower of these social influencers, pick up their thought processes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he's being, a terrible example for the younger generation of men, because they're taking on these same concepts that, he says he believes
Right.
about women.
Yeah. Well, a couple of comments
And
here. I'll
else
go to
about
Terrence
sex
first.
trafficking.
Yeah. Terrence said that this whole society needs therapy. It's a racist, fear based social class system ran by sociopaths. I agree. Kimberly goes on to say, hurt people hurt people. There is a need for healing of many things. And then Lily goes on to define misogyny. It equals hatred, dislike, or mistrust of women, manifested in various forms such as physical intimidation and abuse, sexual harassment and rape, social shunning, and ostracism. I think all of these social platforms it's a breeding ground for this kind of content. I don't know about you guys, just kind of transitioning a little bit. Do you guys watch Love is Blind? No?
No,
Okay.
I've heard of it, but I haven't
Yeah.
Oh
watched
my
it.
Well, this
God.
last you did watch it, Dion?
Girl,
Okay.
loved it.
We'll have to have a real talk outside so I can get
Loved
your, one-on-one talk. But, it brought up, especially Marshall and Jackie's relationship, brought up this conversation about, she said he was too soft, right? She said that he wasn't, I guess,
too
dominant
soft. Yeah.
enough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of funny because early on in the series, he mentions how his upbringing with his dad was very kind of, I guess, abusive in a way, right? His dad was that real domineering man, and he never wanted to treat others that way or be like that himself. And so, when we talk about men's healing and men's mental health, and we had this picture on TV of a woman that called him the very thing that he was trying to heal from. I think a lot of times we don't consider other people's journeys. And so when we talk about hurt people, Kimberly said that, I think we all need healing. We all need healing. And as a teacher and lover of communications, like, we have to think about how we talk to other people.
Yes.
And, I don't know what Andrew Tate has gone through in his life, but clearly something went wrong somewhere, right? He
Mm-hmm.
didn't get the nurture and the love that he needed at some point, because look
Mm-hmm.
at where he is today. Lily
Yeah.
says, I agree.
Well, let me
Um,
ask something.
Terrence Perry a while ago
I
when we
was
were talking said this whole society needs therapy. It's a
yeah,
racist, fear-based social class system ran by
sociopath.
sociopaths. That's
Yeah,
some strong
Mhm.
language. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dion,
I
what were you
was
gonna
just going
say?
to add to what yeah, I was just going to add to what Kenya was saying about healing and that whole situation with Marshall and Jackie, because I did watch Love is Blind the whole season in like a day and a half, because it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
But that was actually a really good example of self-sabotaging. You know how you get
Mm-hmm.
into a situation and you're not used to actually being loved and cared
Yeah.
for. Marshall was really taking his time to be patient with her as she was having some emotional challenges. And she you know, like pushed him away for trying to be supportive, basically.
Yeah.
So, I think that that's such a huge thing to pay attention to, how we self-sabotage because of our upbringings. And to your point
Yeah.
about, you were saying, they're saying about, him and how he may have gone through something, in his past. But a lot of his viewpoints also are to religion, to his religion.
Mm.
He says that, from the video that he was speaking about women being property, and the way that he speaks about women is from a religious standpoint of, scriptures from the Bible
Yeah.
and from the
Mm.
Yeah.
Quran. Which
Right.
Well,
I think, which I
people.
think is a lot of like Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels
Mhm.
says a lot of these same type of concepts.
I
Yeah.
want to speak to Lily's comment here. Why project reality TV shows as reality? While we know a lot of this stuff is scripted, having had a career in TV and understanding what goes into scripts, there is reality that does play a fact into it, right? Sure, it may be sensationalized and made a little
Absolutely.
more sexier for TV, but there is going to be a thread of truth in there. And, this stuff is just, I get it, it's TV, it's made for ratings, but these situations happen all the time, right?
Well, the
These
thing of it is, though, that this is the point. Whether it's reality or not, these kids are being exposed to it, which is why
This is
we
true.
brought it up, right?
This is
Like
true.
these
Yeah.
kids are being exposed to it. They don't know that it's
They
not
don't know.
reality, and
Yeah.
they're seeing it. And so Kimberly's
Yeah.
point for wanting to bring it up was to say, "Hey, we have this man over here who is misogynistic."
Hmm.
Targeting young boys to condition them mentally to
Right.
mold and shape them into this same, when you talk about projection,
Mm-hmm.
this same sort of space.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why
Yeah.
we brought it up, not to sensationalize or talk about reality TV shows, because I don't even really watch them, but there
Right.
are some, these young kids are watching them,
Yeah.
adults even as well, and being
Yeah.
influenced by them. Like when you talk about dating and relationships, like people say don't watch some of these shows like Housewives and all of that stuff, and but people are getting influenced by these
Hmm.
things, so we that's why we talk about them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly why we talk about them. And
Yeah.
it's
I
it.
was just going to say something real quick.
Go ahead.
I'll just say that, yeah, with the reality TV angle to it, just
Yeah,
basically piggybacking off of what you were saying.
and that was a
One of
good
the things that I
question from
really
him.
wish that they would do on the reality shows is one of the things that I wish they would do on the reality shows is have a counselor. Like I
Hmm.
love the reality part of it, but they need to have a counselor on there to really give the real, and the real feedback. People are watching, on, so they need to see
But then no
what's
one would want to
up in
watch
real
it.
life
Our
and
society,
and
no one
get
would
those
want to
solutions.
watch it. No,
Unless
the
they fuss
ratings
them
wouldn't.
out,
I mean,
unless they
yeah,
fuss them out real good,
unless
then
they
somebody would
approach
watch
them
it.
Gordon Ramsay style. Yeah, but then that's not even realistic, right?
Hmm.
People want to see the drama. They because most of our lives aren't filled with all this drama, so we vicariously live through them on the screen. But, I agree with you, Winborn. The point is our kids are being influenced by a lot of this content,
Hmm.
and that's the problem because they can't decipher all the way. I mean, I know my kids don't watch it, but at some point will they, right? When they get old enough to make their own decisions, and hopefully by then we would have taught them well enough to understand that this isn't a healthy relationship. This isn't how,
Absolutely.
healthy people act. But
And this is a great point right here. Parents are
mhm,
allowing the exposure. Be
true.
better parents and stop allowing your kids to use social
Yep,
media carte blanche without parental filters.
this is
So
true.
I want to take a step back for a moment on this comment. And I want to ask this person, if your parent ever told you something that you did not do, did you, in your whole entire life, every single thing that your parents said don't do, you didn't do? Everything, you never snuck and did anything. Like so that's the thing. While parents do their best to put filters on, to remove apps from the phones, to shut down the phone at a certain
Yep.
time, to talk with their kids about this, that, or the other, they are exposed. If they go to
At
school,
school,
they are
yeah.
exposed to
Listen,
Sophie.
they're
My
exposed by
daughter got
neighbors.
exposed to her first curse words from a wall in the bathroom at school. So
Mm,
we can say, you can point to the parent and say be a better parent, but I believe
right.
that we have to be realistic about that statement, and let's
Mhm.
understand that we are in a world where we are influenced by so many different things
Yeah.
that we can't keep our kids in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-mm.
I
I
want
use
to,
it as an opportunity to educate my
no,
kids.
it's
Like
not an
I
excuse, it's reality. Get a
Yeah, it
kid.
is reality. But I use it as an opportunity to teach my kids as they approach certain ages for certain lessons.
Yeah.
Like I remember when Caleb said his first curse word because a kid at daycare made him say it. So I took him
Yeah.
home and I told him all the curse words. I said, "So you want to be big enough to talk about curse words? So let me tell you all the curse words. So next time a kid tells you to say a word, you're not going to tell me that you didn't know that these curse words exist."
Absolutely.
So now
Yeah.
he knows all the curse words, right? He's almost 13
Right.
now. But
Right.
we have she keeps saying these are excuses.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
have the opportunity to teach our kids, and I think shielding them from the world is doing a
Mhm.
disservice. And I think
Absolutely.
that we're
It's
parents to
impossible.
guide them. It's impossible, but we're
Yeah.
here to guide them and show them right
Yeah.
from wrong. And I don't
Absolutely.
believe in sheltering them, but
Mhm.
there's a way to do it. And so, you know, I hear you when you say it's an excuse, but
But
at the
I
end of the
don't.
day, we can't be with our kids 24/7,
No,
and
it's
we
but it's
don't
not
know
an
what
excuse.
happens. I don't
It's
think it's an excuse
reality.
either.
It's
I
not
think
an
it's
excuse. It's a
reality. Yeah.
reality. There's an argument to the point that this person wants to get through
Right.
and has decided not to listen.
Yeah.
So therefore, we are making excuses, and that is not the
Yeah.
case. We
Yeah.
live in reality. We exist in reality. That's
I
it.
agree.
Can
Point
can
blank.
I
Period.
can I jump in
Yeah.
because my daughter's almost 30. I can't believe it. She'll be 30 this year.
That's so.
That's weird. It's so crazy. My daughter will be actually be 30 this year. My kids grew up with the MySpace, which was technically the first
Ooh.
social contrast of conversation. And I
Yeah.
remember the uproar as parents when MySpace came in because MySpace didn't have those parental guidance or protection
Mhm.
for our kids. It was
Mhm.
an open forum for anybody to conversate with kids, no matter what it was. They could ghost, they could image themselves. And I
Yeah.
remember that even in North Carolina, all the radio stations had call ins where they were talking about the whole MySpace thing. And for those who've never heard of MySpace, this is before Facebook,
Right.
Instagram. This is before the Vine. I remember when the Vine came out shortly after MySpace, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
we had to set boundaries with Keto and Jasmine. At that time, Jasmine was a preteen. Keto was like 9 or 10 years old. And so I remember, the little girls like, do it for the Vine, do it for the Vine. And they were all, that was the Vine was the first TikTok, if you think about it. So taking it back to 1997, even during that time when MySpace started to come into play for children growing into that space, it is a conversation that you have to teach your kids. But before MySpace, my kids were still learning things, like Kenya said. My kids were still learning things about sex, about conversations, about stealing, about gossip. And I remember making sure that I always had a dialogue with Keto and Jasmine
Yes.
about even sex, to the point that when he was 7 or 8 years old, my son came to me and asked me about sex because that was a conversation that they had on the bus,
Yep.
right? So, yes, social media makes it easy access, but our children aren't learning anything new. They're just learning it in a faster pace
Mhm.
than what we learned. And here's the thing, history, the social media and television and reality TV, that is Rome. That's the Colosseum. We
Mhm.
have been a society, a world of violence and destruction. If you go back
Yeah.
to even the Roman Empire, the Colosseum was entertainment to see Christians and children mauled and killed by animals. So we are a violent people. But I think we are shocked and stunned because it's right there in our faces now. It's easier access. It is there. So I think the parents definitely have to do the due
Yes.
diligence more so now. Like, I wouldn't want to be a parent, but now I've got grandsons, and
Yeah.
now my grandsons have the that I'm scared that my grandbaby could be 9 or 10 years old and walk in the streets and his ball rolls on somebody's property and then they get shot because his ball
Yeah.
rolled on somebody's
Yeah.
property. So I
Yeah.
mean, we're a violent country. We are a violent world, and I think it's those conversations that we need to have as a society to talk about how can we change that. I don't
Yeah.
know if we ever can, but I think that if we set some
Yeah.
rules and guidelines and conversations, maybe we can make a dent in it.
Go ahead, Dion.
Yeah, I say I completely agree. I just want to give like a little bit of an opposing side just because right now in today's society, I think we're just a little too far gone. You know what I mean? Like I hate to say that there's like completely no hope, but because we have so many people on parents on social media and on TikTok and on all these different social media platforms, I really just don't see the change parenting. I think the parenting is just non-existent
Mm.
because it's on social media.
Mhm. I
But
agree.
I mean,
Somewhat. Mhm.
yes and
Look
no.
at
I
all the adults on TikTok.
Mhm.
Indeed, but it's an adult platform. I mean, my kids don't have cell phones. Caleb spent the other day, the last 30 minutes of the night arguing with me why he should have a cell phone. I'm sorry, you're just not going to get one. You don't need one. And
Mhm.
and not to criticize those that give their parents a cell phone because I understand you may need it for that time being, but there are also ways around that, right? We've got gizmo watches that you can just use to contact your kids. They've got people who are programmed in those devices that they can call and only call. They can't be texting their friends. They can't be on social media. There are methods to put in place to, but again, it boils down to the parents making that decision and
Absolutely.
not succumbing to their child's desire because it's a cool thing,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's where we need to teach our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, that may look cool, but you don't know what that
Mm-hmm.
coolness is getting you
Mm-hmm.
into, right? And
Mhm.
I'm here to help guide you through that coolness because you can get yourself in a situation that mama can't get you out of. And so
Mhm.
I'm trying to prevent that from
We
happening. And
have
you need
to.
to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
You say you love me, then you have to trust me. And
Yeah.
that's my conversation with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I hope that that sticks with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? To
Yeah.
what you said before,
Mm-hmm.
Winborn, we hope that all the things we tell them sticks and that they
Stick.
think
Yeah.
about that before making
Mm-hmm.
a poor decision.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they are people, they make their own choices,
Mm-hmm.
but we
Mhm.
are here to guide them.
And
Well,
I
how
agree
many?
with
Mm-hmm.
Dion on the fact that yeah, we do. There are some parents out here that are not parenting, while at the same time, like you said, Kenya, you're having conversations with your children, helping them to understand about life and various things, and why you stand behind your decisions
Mm-hmm.
is you're sticking with that. So, but I do agree that you do see a lot of people on social media and you're like, okay, how are you on social media this much and not, and you're, you find out their children are all over the place. So I
Right.
agree, I agree with both statements. And Illy in the comments has a lot to say about parenting. And
Yeah.
he said he or she, I'm not sure if it's a he or a
I don't
she,
know.
Illy,
I would
but
imagine a female.
saying that we buy their clothes, we are the influencers basically, and so we should accept accountability. And I believe that many parents do, but just like in anything else, people are also not going
Right.
to accept
Mm-hmm.
responsibility and accountability. And so all
Yeah.
we can do here is say, like what we do, but some great points have
Mm-hmm.
been made. And I want to go back to what Terrence said. There are other societies that don't have these problems in excess because they
Right.
don't have as much access. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's in America,
That's
we
what I
have
was saying. Yeah.
so much access. Go
It's
ahead,
right there
Kimberly.
in front. It's right there in front of us. And I'm twofold. For instance, I think how many families, and I was really kind of hoping through the pandemic we could get back to some roots in terms of sitting at the table and eating and having moments with our kids. And this is no criticism to families because I've been a single mother, I've been married, I've done it all. But I will say it was one of those things that I made a conscious decision, even as a single mom, that 3 nights out of the week, we ate dinner at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I feel like kids are eating on the go. they're eating in the car, they're eating in between this practice and that practice, and they're everybody's running, everybody's rushing, everybody's going. And it was just one of those things that, we decided, and everybody has the right to have their house the way they want to. However, I do wonder, are we, my kids are now my friends, but they were never my friends when they were little. And that's just my mothering. They were never my friends when they were little. Now that Jasmine's almost 30 and Keto is almost 20, well, yeah, in a few weeks, in a couple of days, well, like next week, he will
Mm-hmm.
be 27 years old. But now they're becoming my friends. But I never called my children friends.
Mm-hmm.
I can be friendly to my children when they were 15, 16, 17, 12, 13, but they're not my friends. I have girlfriends for that. They
Mm-hmm.
are
Yeah.
ill-equipped to handle my issues, and
Yeah.
I need to focus on what they need at the time as a parent. And I,
Yep.
I really was hoping that, again, going back to when we were sequestered as a society, I was really kind of hoping, coming out of pandemic, that we could get back a little bit to some of those things where our kids could have moments and they could talk to their parents, and you could ask those questions. What's going on with you? What's happening? Are you struggling? And I love what Kenya said, because you don't have to have those special devices to get your child a cell phone, but on their cell phone, you can block a lot of stuff. There's a lot of features on the phones. Parents, do not go behind and
Mhm.
fix or put in codes. Every T-Mobile, you name it,
Yep.
they've got those codes in there to help you
Yeah.
navigate, so your children can have contact with you in the case of emergencies, but they don't have to
You have to be
search the web.
an
They don't have
airline.
to have access to certain apps. So there are
Mm.
boundaries that we can set
And my
for our
my
kids.
kids' computers are mirrored, so we see all their
Yeah.
activities. So like there are
Yes.
ways around this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, but
Yeah, and as we wrap up, because we're right at the hour.
Mhm.
As we wrap up, this has been a good conversation tonight. Being able to talk about some of the major issues, and I know all of it relates. Like, parents are concerned about
Mhm.
their kids. Parents are also trying to figure out how to do this thing,
Mhm.
especially through a pandemic when they're going through stuff.
Mhm.
Parents are trying to figure out, do I do something different in relation to sending my kids to school? We got the gun law, all the stuff that we talked about. So I just want to say, for this couch conversation, we have had some really great conversation this evening. And Dion, I think I saw you lift up your hand. I know your internet has been spotty tonight. So did you just lift up your hand, or am I seeing something? Am I imagining that?
No, I did. No, I was going to say the same things that, there was just so many new trends though now with gentle parenting and just all these new things that are affecting different ways. So that's all I was going to say, is that it's going to be
Yeah.
really difficult for us as parents to get our hands around our kids as much as we probably, I mean, as much as we need to, but
Hmm.
there's just a lot going on with social media, the society, just a lot.
Yeah. And people have a lot of opinion around how others should parent. But I do agree with the comment about parents need to monitor and manage their children's devices. I think Kenya said it, I've said it, Kimberly said it, Dion and Illy in the comments, Kimberly in the comments, like, we all agree that we need to manage their
Mhm.
devices. If they're going to have whatever they're going to have, we need to manage and monitor it. We need to remove them from being on social media so much, because we know that causes anxiety from scientific data, and that leads to other things. And so I believe this has been an amazing conversation. I'm looking forward to our next couch conversation. I believe we always have the best conversations, like
Mhm.
behind the scenes, like, guys. We always, before and after the show, when we're preparing for the show, we always have the best conversation. So tonight we decided to do a couch conversation. I think it was good.
it
So
was a lot of
yeah,
engagement. So thank y'all for
thank
commenting and sharing
yeah.
and being engaged.
Yeah, and so we
Yes,
want to
and for
see you.
dealing with our technical difficulties.
Yes.
Well, same here. We had a power surge. We had a power surge, and I don't know what that power surge did, but it muted me and then it shut me down. So we had a
Yeah.
quick power surge, and me and Dion don't live very far from each other. So
Yeah,
I think
same
it's just
side of
our
town.
area. Yeah.
But y'all came back strong.
Yes.
We worked through it and we made it through it. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to our next couch conversation. Looking forward to our next show. You guys follow us at Love and Flow TV on social media, Instagram and Facebook. And then Coffee and Collaborations on YouTube. Oh, we just celebrated our 5-year
Woohoo!
anniversary with
Yay!
Coffee and Collaborations. So go and see the flyer. Got all the ladies represented and some of the fellas. Our graphic designer, who is our sponsor for the show tonight, the Elton Benjamin, creative professional. Great conference coming up for those who are in the area called Creative Verse. They got some celebrities coming in from out of town, and we have a great event set up. So anyway, just wanted to shout those guys out, the team especially. Yes, 5 years, 5 amazing years. And these ladies and I have been together since the pandemic. We started the
Mhm.
show during the pandemic. I believe we have hung in there. We have had technical difficulties. We have learned a lot.
Yeah.
We keep
Well,
pushing. We have been through a lot. So,
we have a
yes.
request to do some full research on the Tate conversation or the Tate situation.
Yeah, I would
And
love to.
yeah, and do that. Needs to be a show of its own, apparently. So
Well, Dominier, I do want to say that Kimberly had technical difficulties, and Kimberly is the person who was going to talk about that for our show. So, into the comment of we need to do our full research on him before discussing that topic, that's actually something that our correspondent here, Kimberly, was going to handle, but she had technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
will be sure to come back and
Mhm.
manage that conversation a little bit better where Kimberly won't have the technical difficulties. That's why we tried to fill in. We did our best, but then we did move on. So
You
thank
did
you
an
for your,
excellent job. Kenya did an excellent
thank
job. Yeah.
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
and Dion chimed in. So thank you for your
Yeah.
comment, Dominier, and for your backing Illy as well. We really appreciate the comments and all of your feedback. So yeah, keep them coming. Thank you for your support. In the end, that's what we appreciate. We appreciate your support, and we're always trying to grow to be better. So you all have a great
Mhm.
rest of your evening. Truly, truly, truly appreciate you for joining us tonight on this rainy Saturday here in North Carolina. Not sure where you are, but really, really, really appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to seeing you back here, Illy, to combat Kim on Andrew Tate. That should be fun. All
I
right,
love
thank you
it.
for joining, everyone. Y'all have a
Have a good
great
night.
night. Follow us at Love and Flow
Night.
TV and Coffee and Collaborations.
Good
Night,
night.
night.
Bye.